Oilers Nation After Dark begins now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. As our boy Peyton in the Moss Pit would say, shh, to those Canucks fans. I didn't do that. He said that
He told us to do it. He made us do it.
I feel like I literally just came back from war. This bar, absolutely asses to elbows packed. I'm not going to show you my pitters right now because the energy, it's going. I'm sweaty. I'm tired. My voice is hoarse. But damn it, I could not be happier right now. I'm on cloud nine as the Edmonton Oilers claw back, they fight back, and they defeat the Vancouver Canucks in overtime. Take that, Archer Sheelovs. But hello and welcome to Oilers Nation After Dark. After a playoff W, live from Greta Bar Yeg, I'm your host, Aaron Bordato, joined by the man, Coomsy Cam Lewis himself. And Coom, could this have been a better evening? I'm getting wave goodbyes from all over the place right now. This bar packed. Initial thoughts. How you feeling right now, buddy?
The vibes are out of control right now. The vibes are on fire. I mean, we were all talking after the third period. When we were standing outside, we were thinking, this thing's going to go 2 overtimes. This thing's going to go 3 overtimes.
I thought they might shut down Greta before we were able to leave, and I didn't know what I'd do for the show.
We're going to have to all go file into someone's vehicle and watch on a phone triple overtime, something weird like that. But the Oilers found a way. They got the job done quickly in overtime, which is what you have to do, because the longer these things go along, the longer an overtime period goes, the more random it is. You never know what's going to happen, and Evan Bouchard threw one on net, and it went in. He's a player who's had a huge season for the Oilers, looked pretty good in the playoffs so far, and here he is with perhaps the biggest goal of his career thus far.
But the thing with Evan Bouchard, he's been solid defensively. Him and Ekholm both, they've been a treat. And then, of course, you're going to get that boost bomb from the top of the points. Checking in with the chat right now. Be sure, if this isn't the most liked video of Oilers Nation After Dark we've ever done, what the hell am I doing here, people?
We're number one.
We're number one. We're 1-1. As we said, it's not a series until you lose at home. Well, Vancouver, it's a fucking series now, baby. We'll see you back in Edmonton in Rogers Place. Catching up with the chat, all dressed chips. 1-1 coming home, can't wait. Rick says, chug that Guinness, brother.
Yep, cheers.
Yep. I like this from deflect.net. My heart can't take this. I might be the sweatiest guy in this entire bar right now. Shout out to Greta, because they open up the back patio here, and you get that cross breeze going. There was like what felt like 50 people staring at this one TV right now in Coom. I don't know if I've had a better moment than that as an Edmonton Oilers fan when they just scored that OT winner here at Greta. Yeah. What was that experience like for you?
That was a fun one. That was a big one. We were just chatting before we went live. We were thinking, when was the last time the Oilers scored an overtime winner? And it was all the way back in, you said Game 4.
I think Game 4, LA. I was here at Greta.
That's right. Game 4 of the first round against LA last season. So getting the overtime winner against Vancouver in a game where the Oilers kept fighting back. Vancouver goes up 1-0. The Oilers tie it. Vancouver goes up 2-1. The Oilers tie it. Vancouver goes up 3-2. The Oilers tie it. And if you follow the pattern, it looks like Vancouver is going to be the team to score in overtime. Happens? That's not what happens. The Oilers get their quick goal, and that's exactly what they needed because, like I said, as time goes along, it gets more and more random. So you need that goal quickly, get it over with, get your win, come back to Edmonton.
I said it felt like at the end of that third period, the ice was completely tilted in the Oilers' favor. They had chance after chance after chance. Sheelovs, we'll get into him in a minute. He looks shaky, brother. He looks like a guy who has now played 13 career NHL playoff games. They said his rebound control all over the place. He couldn't handle a puck behind the net with one Zach Hyman. And I think the big storyline that everybody said coming into tonight, holy shit, pepper him with shots. What, in the last game, the Oilers, what did they have? 18 shots total, I believe, in that bad boy. 31 tonight. But the big number, Coomsy, 15-2 in the third period. I pointed out to you earlier in the night, this was a completely flipped script of game one. The Canucks, they get the early power play to start game one. They get the early goal as it was only 4 minutes of the game with Elias Pettersson. He is, in fact, awake and on the ice, and he does have a pulse. The crowd was in it early. You knew you were going to have to withstand that wave after wave from them playing U2. The Skinner chants were going. We'll get into Stu in a minute, but it was the complete reverse of the other night, and it's key. Pepper Sheelovs with shots. He's only played 13 games.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you got a goalie like this, I mean, you've got a young, talented goalie who's captured lightning in a bottle. And, you do that for a couple games against Nashville. You come into game one against the Oilers and you have a huge game. But being that goaltender that keeps that magic for over a week long, you keep doing it. It's not easy to do. So the more you throw at this guy, the more action you give him, the more you go into the crease, you get in his face, you make his life difficult, the harder it's going to be. This isn't a goalie who has a whole bunch of NHL experience. Yeah, he's played well in big games, absolutely. Hats off to him. But he's not a goalie who's played, 50 playoff games that knows how to, when things get rattled, to calm himself down. It's a young goalie on the other side for the Oilers. Pepper him with shots, get in his face. And in the third period, think about game one for the Oilers. They disappeared after 30 minutes. And in this one, Vancouver scores late in the second period. Looks like a huge momentum changer. They get the break. The Oilers come back out and they play their best period we've seen in a while. It was a hell of a period, the third period.
It was time to dig deep. It was gut check time. It was, sorry for my language, grab your nuts time. It's time to put it on the line here. And the Oilers, that's what they can do. We talked about on pre-gaming that it's weird because they had a lead and they had a good first period in the last game. They're known for having shitty starts and good third periods. Tonight was more like that theme that we know and we love. What'd you think of the crowd tonight? I thought Vancouver... Dude, this series might burn down all of Western Canada from Edmonton all the way to Vancouver. The crowd was in it early. They were on Skinner's ass with the Skinner chants. They reacted huge to every hit that was out there, and I really thought they brought a presence with the Edmonton Oilers. They withstood that. They were able to deal with it. Boom, you steal a game, home ice advantage now in the Oilers' favor. I think the folks at Rogers Place, not Rogers Arena, we're going to dig deep on Wednesday night, but what do you think of the crowd factor tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. Vancouver, this is a team where, think back to 10 years ago when Vancouver was the team in the Western Conference. We all remember the Sedin-era Vancouver Canucks mucking up the Oilers and just dominating them. And it's been a few years for Vancouver. They've been out of the playoffs. Of course, they went on that nice little run during the summer bubble tournament during the COVID year. But it's been a long time since fans in Vancouver have had something like this to cheer about, and they came out and they had a great crowd. Their introduction, the U2 song, it's great. It's fantastic. It's a great introduction, and they're playing the song from the Breakfast Club when they score the goals. It's a fun vibe that Vancouver's got, and their crowd's all in. But the Oilers, they're a veteran playoff team. This is a team that's gone on a couple of deep runs lately. And think back to 2 years ago in the Calgary series, all of those games, whether you were in Edmonton, whether you were in Calgary, those were loud, intense, hostile environments. And this is nothing new for the Oilers. Whereas for the Canucks, for this group, the only playoff run they ever had was in 2020 with no fans. Yeah. So them playing in front of a crowd like this with that adrenaline, it's a whole different animal for them. And the Oilers, they know how to handle games like this. So they're the veteran team in this situation. That's what they look like.
It looks like this Edmonton Oilers, and we didn't get it in game one because they shot themselves in the foot. We said the only team that can beat the Oilers is themselves. They definitely did that in game one. Tonight, the stick-to-itiveness, the tenacity, the never say die attitude. We weren't feeling great. You saw Connor take that breakaway, and I think every one of us stood up before he'd even put it in. We were like, oh yeah, one-on-one with Artur Shilovs. I like the Oilers odds in this one. I'm seeing some people in the chat talking about the crowd. I like this one from River. LMAO chanting Skinner while hemmed in their own end. Yes, I did notice that at a couple points. Gito, it's our turn now to have the crowd. I like this from Putter. He said it got Skinner fired up and focused. Let's talk about Stuart Skinner right now. I thought he was good tonight. Once again, maybe not great in that. We'll get into that third goal. Holy shit, that was... The tension in this building could have been cut with a knife. But then, as I say, Stuart Skinner this evening, just pulling up his stats, 16 saves on 19 shots and 842. So not great, but there wasn't a ton of shots against. I thought he made some huge-ass saves in that second period where the Canucks tend to have that momentum. He withstood that wave. What do you think of Stu tonight?
Yeah, it wasn't a situation where you look at it and you say,
it's a win.
Where you say, yeah, Stuart Skinner won the game for the Oilers. That wasn't the case, but he was good enough. There was the one goal, the Zadorov goal in the second period. That was an ugly one, but the first two, the Brock Besser one, the Elias Pettersson one. Of course, the Pettersson one on the power play, the one-timer, that's like a Leon Draisaitl goal on the power play. Not much Stuart Skinner can do about that one, but it's really only the third one we're looking at here and thinking, geez, that's one you'd like to have back. But if you're the Oilers in the playoffs and your goalie, no matter what the context is, 3 or fewer goals, and he can do that, is a pretty good chance the Oilers can score 4 times.
The Edmonton Oilers should be able to score 4 goals every single night. And one thing that helped them this evening, at least, and it's going to be a storyline. I think it's been a storyline for the Oilers forever with the McDavid Draisaitl era. It's the special teams. It's the power plays, because yet again, we knew coming into this game tonight, I said our boy Quads, I love him. We're going to chirp him here. He had his built-in excuse that Kelly Sutherland was going to be the ref tonight, and the Canucks were 0-7-1 in their last 8 games. He said they never get a call. Funny, because they got literally the first call of the game, but I thought penalties and special teams was a major factor in this game. Pettersson's first goal, power play. Leon's first goal, power play. The next 2 were both 4-on-4 goals as well when he decided to, I forget which play that was, where they took them both in there, but it had a huge impact. I always say 4-on-4, open ice.
Yeah.
That's the Edmonton Oilers' advantage right there. Open ice, open space. They have the players that can do that kind of stuff. But whistles were a huge factor, and thought for the most part the Oilers stayed disciplined. We saw it in the LA series, right, where you can get in the scrums, but you're not going to get overly in them. I thought they had a good job tonight. But what do you think of the whistles and Kelly Sutherland? Quads, can you blame Kelly Sutherland for that Ian Cole thing at the end? Don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that if you're going to look back at this game and the penalties called, I think it probably favored the home team. The calls probably favored Vancouver. There was some where you wonder, this is the second round of the playoffs as opposed to a game in mid-January or mid-February. These calls seem a little bit soft, but you just never know. It's a little bit unpredictable. The special teams is going to be an interesting battle in this series because these are 2 teams with good power plays.
Yeah.
Of course, Edmonton has the elite power play, one of the best, if not the best in the league. Vancouver was just a league average penalty killing team during the season. I mean, you go back to your first round series against LA, and such a big part of that for the Oilers was how they just stopped the Kings from scoring on all their power plays. And this is a different series. I mean, Vancouver's not mucking it up in the whistles quite as much as LA was, but this is one of those things where if you win the special teams battles, it's going to be a huge win for the Oilers. And I mean, it's tilted in their favor too. Like, you expect the Oilers to win the special teams in this series.
Coombs, I want to talk about a comment here from Aruba. How does it feel knowing you need the refs to win? I would say the Oilers went 1 for 3 on the power play. The Canucks went 1 for 3. But my initial answer to that would be, it feels fucking great right now. It feels awesome.
It doesn't matter.
You don't apologize for how you win. A win's a win. Doesn't matter what's around it. So
banners fly forever. There's not going to be a banner that says Stanley Cup champions. It took the refs. It's just going to say Stanley Cup champions.
Aruba, don't really get that comment, but I appreciate the subscribe. I hope you go down and like the video as well. We got some fans here around the corner. Coombsy, vibe check right now. Give it a volume check.
The vibes are high. The vibes are very high.
It's loud as shit in this place.
It's hard to hear what we're talking about. So if I give an answer that's completely unrelated to what we're talking about, it's not my fault.
Buddy, we roll. It's our night tonight. Once again, I see. And it's funny to say, like, there's, of course, always going to be some Vancouver trolls, but it's funny, Coombe. There's way less in the chat right now than there was on Wednesday night. It's also Friday night. I hope they're down at Greta, Vancouver. The boys were down there. They had a pregame party going. I know Canucks Army was down there. I guarantee it went nothing like what went down at Greta tonight. But big shout out to Greta here in Edmonton. They kick ass at these events. It is packed asses to elbows, as I said. They've opened up the patio. There's games going constantly. There's people here who, there's some casuals, right? If they're just here for the environment, they're playing Street Fighter, the Walking Dead game, bubble hockey.
The fishing game
is the most popular game here.
Love the fishing game.
It's insane. You got to pull a big one, Coom. I got a big one. I got a big dub tonight. But what'd you think overall of the time here at Greta? And I don't think it's going to shut down anytime soon. We got 2 more hours and 22 minutes till the last call. Let's have a night, Coop.
We got 2.5 hours left, and everybody's fired up from the Evan Bouchard goal. Yeah, this is a great vibe. I mean, sitting here right now, you can't see it if you're watching in our video, but watching right in front of us, it's just people bouncing up and down. Everyone's having a great time. I mean,
the street. Did you just hear that vehicle?
Yeah, the streets. The cars are honking on the street. I mean, this is what we love to see. I mean, this is why when you're grinding through the difficult winter and you're watching those games in December and January, this is what you're thinking about. You're thinking about those nice nights in mid-May where it's 22 degrees outside and the Oilers score an overtime playoff goal and the vibes are ecstatic.
You can see the sweat on my forehead. Get out of here. Get out of here. What are you doing? Get out. No. Go. Coombsy, get her out of there. We got all kinds of... No, you're done with that. They were going to kidnap Mike. All right, let's get into it now. The Greta scoring summary brought to you by Greta Bar. Yag, you know him. You love them. They're my favorite spot in the city. We're going to get into our scoring summary in just a bit. We're going to get into that in just a bit as we have some people here trying to grab headsets off of Coombsy's head, grab some lights. But that's the fun you're going to get at Greta Barrieg. You got to deal with that stuff. Now I got Brett playing bodyguard behind the scenes, so that's always a good time. Oh, sorry, I killed your mic.
I'm back.
There you go.
Bouncer Brett.
Brett's our bouncer, but scoring summary brought to you by Greta Barrieg. We're going to get into the first goal here, as you'll see it on your screen. It was Elias Pettersson on the power play after what penalty did Ryan Nugent-Hopkins take? Can't remember.
The holding penalty, I think it was.
Was that the second one?
Either way, penalty, one of the two.
Yeah, I think it was that one.
Unnecessary infraction.
Oh, it was a trip. Nuge takes a tripping penalty. I felt it was a little bit soft. Takes a little bit of time. JT Miller doing his thing, and you saw he's wide open, Pettersson there. You'll see it on your screen. I did think that Stuart Skinner kind of reacted late on this one. I don't know. There's a clear seam lane there to go to Elias Pettersson. As I mentioned, this was the first tell that I could see. Oh, Elias Pettersson is still alive. He is still playing hockey. But as I mentioned, worst start you could possibly have. The bar went boom.
Yeah, it did. This really sucked the air out of the room. And I mean, this was the one goal that for sure, I wasn't going to blame Stuart Skinner for. Like, this is a familiar goal for Oilers fans. Like, we've seen this a million times. Connor McDavid gets the puck from just inside the blue line, moves around, whoever it is, Nugent-Hopkins, McDavid, does this thing, fakes it out, makes the pass. Like, it almost seems like Elias Pettersson had watched one of the, million Leon Draisaitl power play goals that he's done just like this. And we've all seen it so many times. This is a tough one to stop. This was a well-executed power play by Vancouver. And if you're Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, you're a veteran player. I mean, I don't want to be too critical, but taking a penalty like that right away early in the game, it's not exactly what you love to see.
It's a vibe killer.
Not exactly what you love. Yeah, exactly. It's a vibe killer, not what you love to see. Kind of sucks the air out of the balloon, but credit to the Oilers. They come back. I guess we'll show the highlight right away, but that was the key. Is that you let the Canucks go up 1-0 in the first period. You don't want to go into the intermission down 1-0.
I like Cap in the chat right now, as he said. You can't give the random people at Greta some microphones. Just like, hold on, I wouldn't give Aruba a microphone because Aruba, she's out of here. I just put her in timeout. I don't want to hear about how we don't deserve that win. What are you talking about? That was an overtime game. We outshot your team. We're not even going to get into that. But as you just mentioned, the Oilers bounce back quickly with their first goal of the game, second of the game, and it's on the power play, and it's won. Leon Draisaitl. We'll get into him later, but is he the best player to play through injury with what he did against Calgary years ago? 17 points on one ankle in 5 games. He comes out tonight and he buries this one. They're on the power play. You all had plenty of chances. They were buzzing all over the ice. McDavid gets it down low, and it was a little sweet give and go kind of with Leon Draisaitl. And one thing we'll talk about later, Dry might have not had the speed, the movement in his body tonight. He felt rigid and a little stiff, but pretty good overall at points. His hockey IQ is so high that he can find that little soft spot in the defense, find a way in there. And if you're going to put the puck on Leon Draisaitl's stick that close to the net, he's probably going to bury Coombsy.
You can see in a game like this why Leon Draisaitl is going to have a long career in the league.
He's a fucking warrior.
Exactly, because even if he loses his speed in a game like this, you see him sometimes in the neutral zone. He doesn't have his acceleration. He can't carry the puck up as he usually would. And, I mean, when you look at him in the offensive zone, it's the big, strong guy that can shield the puck. He can handle it. When there's guys in his lane, there's guys chipping away, guys trying to take it away. Yeah. He can get himself into open spots. He can play make in the offensive zone, even if he doesn't have his wheels, even if he doesn't have his legs. And that's the thing. We're worried ahead of this game. How's Leon Draisaitl going to look? But even without his best speed, even without his lower body beneath him, he can still be such a machine in the offensive zone that he's a game changer for the Oilers, especially on the power play.
I was worried coming in, right? And it was kind of a curveball, right, as we're doing the lineup report, and they say Leon's going to be on the top line with Connor and Hyman. My initial reaction was, oh, shit, he can't move. That means he can't skate all that well, and they're going to try and cherry pick some matchups and have Connor do the hard work. But I thought Leon tonight was absolutely fantastic. The chat, very funny right now. No, people, clean it up. We're talking about hockey right now, damn it. But if you're not down at Greta right now, that's what you're missing out on. Absolutely. We then move to the second period. We're 53 seconds into that period. The Canucks 4-on-4 in this bad boy. They win the draw, goes back to the defense, blasted on net, can't score if you don't shoot. Bing, bang, boom, redirected in front of the net by one Brock Besser. 53 seconds into the period. God damn, Coombsy, I wasn't feeling very good about that one there, but 4-on-4 open ice. The Oilers did quickly respond after that one, but what'd you think there? Faceoffs, not really in the Oilers' favor tonight. They won 47% of them. One guy who got beat up in the draws was Leon Draisaitl. We'll maybe talk about that a little bit later, but this one, 2-1, 53 seconds into the period. That sucks.
Yeah, that's not obviously ideal, but that was kind of the game the Oilers were playing this whole time. It felt like it was Vancouver's. It felt like they were writing the script in this one for a lot of it. After they had won game one, they're at home. They have the opportunity to go up 2-0. They're the team that's going to be coming out at the intermission flying. They're the team that's going to be coming out saying, we have a chance to do this. We want to get ahead so that the Oilers are chasing us. We don't want Edmonton playing their game. And Brock Besser, he's had a fantastic season this year, and he's had a great playoffs too.
It started against Edmonton with 4 goals.
It did, yeah, exactly.
You're welcome.
Got off to a great start this year in those 2 games against Edmonton. He carried it the whole way through. That top line, Besser, Miller, and Pia Suter, they've been an excellent line. It's hard for the Oilers to contain that, but like you said, they bounce back. And this is the thing. Let the other team score a minute into the period. You score 30 seconds later. That's what it's all about.
Let's roll the next highlight here with the Oilers. So that was 53 seconds into the period, a minute 16 into the period. That is 23 seconds later. Boom, I think I did that math correct. It's Mattias Ekholm from Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. Absolutely steps into this bad boy, and that's one realm of Ekholm's game. We saw a ton of near the end of the season, right? As it was, he stepped up into the rush. The Paul Coffey influence definitely got to him. I would argue he's the one that had the most bump in offensive production when Paul Coffey came along. Round one, he didn't necessarily need that from Mattias Ekholm. Your big dogs were doing what they will do on the power play, but he can be a defensive Viking, a defensive stud, but he also has this part of his game, which this year he set new career highs across the board. This is what he's capable of doing, and I can't lie to you, it felt good to watch this one go in. Somebody in the chat just said that you're a one-line team. To be fair, look at every one of these goals.
It's something different each time.
But I ain't apologizing for it. Mattias Ekholm, he scores a beauty.
Yeah, Mattias Ekholm, I mean, I made this comment last year shortly after they traded for him, and I thought this is the best D-man the Oilers have had on their blue line since Chris Pronger. Full stop. Like, complete, full-way D-man. I think
Klefbom was good, but no.
Yeah, Klefbom was a great defenseman. Sheldon Surrey was a great defenseman. There's good defensemen that have played here over the years, but a complete D-man who can take over a game and log the minutes. Mattias Ekholm is that player. And I mean, think back to January, February of 2023 before they made that trade. They were a completely different team. And it's been since they made that deal for Ekholm at that last year's trade deadline, giving up the first-round draft pick, giving up Reed Schaefer, the top prospect. It was a game-changing move for the Oilers. This is the D-man they've been looking for so long. And Ekholm comes up in big games on both sides of the ice, plays rock-solid defense, and then comes and brings a big clapper in the offensive zone, ties the game for the Oilers early in the second period, right after they had gone down. He's a game changer. He's
got the clutch gene, I would say as well. I love this always when you get the late night chats. River comes in and he says, I love your commentary and post-game analysis, Boardsy. Cap comes in right after and says, guy on the right is trying too hard. No, I'm the guy on the right. I would assume. Right? I think if you're looking at it like this, be careful. Let me know which guy you think is trying too hard. Also,
we're
don't
both
care.
Trying our best is what we're doing.
Yeah, we got a couple suds in us tonight as well. So then it moves to the third goal from the Vancouver Canucks, and we'll get this one a little bit more analysis later, but this one sucked. This one sucked the energy out of the building. With under 2 minutes left, or in the building here in Greta, I should say, under 2 minutes left in the period, Zadorov comes down the wing, sneaks one from a terrible angle on Stuart Skinner. Couldn't really tell if it did get deflected right in front of him. Either way, I got in a debate with some guy outside, and he's like, it got tipped. And I said, dude, even if it did, I need Stuart Skinner to make that save. I can't sugarcoat it. I've been nice enough as I can to Stu. That was brutal. That was a backbreaking goal. That was everybody in the bar going, oh, shit. I've said repeatedly on these shows, I have a buddy who's the Stuart Skinner hater. That goal went in. I felt my phone vibrate 30 seconds later, and I went, Oh, shit, I know who that's going to be. Pull it out. He's having a field day on Stu. Coombsy, that was a brutal goal to give up. That was a backbreaking goal at the end of the period. It wasn't a last-minute goal, but it felt like it.
It did. It honestly felt like a goal that came 5 seconds left to go in the second period. It felt like this was happening, and immediately we were going into the intermission. And it was an unfortunate one for Stuart Skinner because, I mean, Vancouver, of course, scored that goal early in the second period, the Brock Besser one in the first minute. But in the middle of that period, the other 18 minutes in the middle, Stuart Skinner was strong. Vancouver was good in this period. They outshot the Oilers 10-6. It's the only period where they outshot Edmonton. And I felt the second period was the one where it was clear Vancouver was the better team than Edmonton. And Skinner, he came through with some big saves. He looked solid. He looked big in net until the very end there. And it almost seemed like you think that the period's already over and you're not hugging your post. You're not putting yourself right up against it. You're giving them a little bit of room to shoot. And, I mean, I don't know. This is the only goal in the game where I look at it for Skinner, and I think this is one you really should have had. This is a goal where the Oilers need their goalie making the save. If the Oilers are going to be in the Western Conference final against Dallas or Colorado, or in the finals against whoever from the Western or Eastern Conference, these are goals you can't be allowing.
That's the thing, right? As we always say, you need your goalie to make a big save in those moments. That wasn't even a big save. That was just a regular average. You should close that one out. I got to give credit where credit's due. Sure, Zadorov, you picked the corner on that thing I mentioned. He's now scored in four straight home games.
He's got the genes.
For the Vancouver Canucks on home ice at Rogers Arena, and I see it in your Pork Leaker. That's a sick name. Hate to see Zadorov score, especially from that angle. Bad Skinner. Yep, absolutely. But after that went down, Stuart Skinner, he locked the door down, and he shut that door. So then we move to the third period where, as I said earlier, we were all out of our chairs before he had even shot that puck on net or done anything. And it's Connor McDavid tying the game up 3-3, 5:27 into the period. Goes on a breakaway after battling hard to try and get that puck. Goes down with some speed. You giving me Artur Shilovs and Connor McDavid one-on-one. I'm going to take Connor McDavid 100 times out of 100, not even 99. That's what big-time players do. They make big plays. I saw a bunch of guys doing this. Big-time players, big-time plays, the whole sketch thing in the bar. This place exploded when that goal went in. There was drinks being thrown up in the air. I got on the mic. It was crazy. Connor McDavid, your biggest player, your number one, your leader, making a leader number one play.
Part of why everybody was so fired up when this goal was scored is because everyone knew as soon as he grabbed the puck there at the center line.
I was up right now. Yeah, I was up.
As soon as the puck was poked at the center line and you knew that he had some space, you knew that there was a D-man turning from backward skating to forward skating, and Connor was skating full steam. There was no way Vancouver's defenseman was going to be able to catch it. You knew him coming in on Vancouver's third-string goalie. This is one he's going to win, and this is a goal the Oilers needed because we just got finished talking about that rough one from Stu Skinner. I mean, if you're Connor McDavid, you recognize you go into the second intermission, you see that's not really an ideal one that your team would want to allow right late in the second period. You come out and you grab your team a goal in the third and you pull them right back into it. Yeah. That's what you do when you're the best player in the league. And I mean, not every team has a guy that can go ahead and do that. Not every team has a guy that could poke that puck and win that race. I'm not sure if Vancouver has a forward that can do that.
No, that was I'm going to put you on my back and we're going to go here. And big-time players make big-time plays. Cap, I am Bordsy. They continue to chirp. You're watching my show right now. It's free. You don't have to do it. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. Keep the algorithm going. Keep the chat going, boys. We love it here.
Beef sells records.
Hey, there you go. Oh, I'm worse than Tyler. Nice. We got to roll with that. Here we move to the overtime, though. And it was a battle. It was tense in here. As I said earlier, you could cut the tension with a knife. People weren't speaking. The energy was there. And then let's see it as we get in, and Evan Bouchard makes Evan Bouchard plays. As I mentioned, want to give a big shout-out to Ian Cole for being there right in front of the net. I believe it did go off of his stick, but Evan Bouchard, you got to love every bit of this, Coombsy. I could watch this over and over and over. What a feeling. What a moment, brother.
Yeah, every single time. And I mean, it's happened a lot less this season. He's come a long way as an NHL defender. But you think back to the past when he was a bit younger.
Ian Cole, overtime winner.
Yeah, I mean, he one-timed it right into the net. It was thanks for that. But Man, for so long in Evan Bouchard's career, all we could talk about was what he wasn't doing in front of the net, what he wasn't doing in the defensive zone, what he's not doing along the boards. But I mean, this guy's a marquee offensive player, a creative player, a player who creates offense from the blue line. And it's so hard to find these types of guys. I remember when the Oilers drafted Bouchard in the first round in 2018, it had been so long since they had a D-man who from the right side could make a good outlet pass and who could take a nice shot from the blue line. And you get Evan Bouchard, and there he is, coming up big in a playoff situation for the Oilers. He played a great game in this one, a great game. And I mean, this is a player who's come a long way for the team, a guy who took a lot of crap from the fans for who he wasn't defensively. And he's rounded his game out a lot, and the offense is there. And I mean, Evan Bouchard at this point in his career coming through with a huge OT goal for the Oilers. It's nice to see. Like, you'd love to see that.
I couldn't agree more, dude. You know that Evan Bouchard's been the whipping boy. There's obviously Darnell Nurse too, but dude, I've been doing these shows after every single night. The Bouch hate has been near non-existent because, as you just said, he has rounded out his game. He'll always have the Bouch bomb. He'll always have the offensive presence. His breakout abilities. There was one tonight, him and Ekholm. There was 3 dudes forechecking, banging, crashing bodies. Ekholm does a quick little boom over to Bouchard. You think is going to try and ring it out, glassing out. Takes a moment, sits back, lets them skate over, casual breakout pass, and it gets going. And Bouchard needs love, not just offensively. Obviously, he played great tonight, and he gets that goal, a big goal. 29-59 tonight for Evan Bouchard on the ice time. Should have taken one more second to score that goal, so we could have hit that 30 minutes threshold there, if you will. But ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for the Greta scoring summary, brought to you by Greta Bar-Yeg. If you're not here yet and you're still thinking about it, if I could turn the camera around right now to see what is going on behind our boy Patrick Puff and on the D floor, that D floor is going to get set on fire tonight. In final, though, Leon Draisaitl with possibly broken ribs. Frank Saravalli joined us on the pre-game show, and he dropped a bomb, dude. He said, I'm not reporting this, but I heard a rumor today that Leon Draisaitl does, in fact, have some broken ribs. He had a goal and 3 assists tonight. He is the high point man. Connor McDavid also had a goal and 3 assists tonight. Leon Draisaitl, absolutely fantastic. Bouchard with a goal, Ekholm with a goal. Connor and Leon, they're the only guys with 4 points. They're the only guys with more than 1 point tonight. You go supernova, that's what you're going to get.
Yeah. Leon's been a big power play or a big playoff performer for the Oilers ever since their first run in 2017. Like, when the Oilers made the playoffs for the first time in over a decade, it was Leon Draisaitl who was their best player in that playoff run, and that has been consistent for the Oilers throughout the playoffs every year, no matter what. Leon Draisaitl always comes through, even when he's injured. There was injuries in the Calgary series. There was an injury last season. There's an injury this year. Apparently, it's the ribs. You can see it when he's in the neutral zone. You can see it when he's accelerating. You can see it when he's trying to move quickly. But at the end of the day, despite that, despite the pain, the lack of speed, Leon Draisaitl is, no matter what, who he always is in the offensive zone. He can protect the puck. He can shoot. He can make plays. That's what he needs to be. And I mean, he was who he needed to be in the offensive and the defensive zone. He couldn't be that player in the neutral zone, but that's all you need, offensive zone.
Does Leon Draisaitl play better when he has a debilitating injury? Like, I don't even know, but I got to point this one out from Joey H. Can we Photoshop Ian Cole's face on Bouchard at the end when they hug him? Chat, that's on you. I'm going to put that responsibility on one of you. I'll be sure to get Oilers Nation to tweet that out later. Cap says show the bar. I can't really, but if you check in on the Oilers Nation socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you can get a good taste of what it was like every time the Oilers scored some goals. But now let's move to the good, the bad, and the oily, brought to you by Alberta Blue Cross, because there's only one thing better than sharing memories, and that's making new memories like we did tonight, but I wasn't traveling. Alberta Blue Cross Travel Insurance protects your memories and more wherever travel takes you. Visit ab.bluecross.ca/travel for more information. I texted Tyler trying to get hey, what were the vibes like in that building? I don't think you get travel insurance for staying in the country, but I assume Canucks fans must have been quite angry at our boys Bagnell, Liam, and Tyler tonight.
Yeah, I can imagine if you're a fan in Vancouver, after the win, the comeback win they had in Game 1, after how things were looking in Game 2, especially after that Nikita Zadorov goal, that seemed like we're the team of destiny. We're going to win this series. That's what it seemed like at that exact moment. if you're a fan in Vancouver. And the Oilers came out and played such a good period in the third period. They really shut Vancouver up, and that was so important because,
Get it in you. Wet your whistle. Wet your whistle.
Got to get it in me. That was important because Vancouver held the momentum in that second period. They had a great period, and of course, after game one, the way the fans felt, the way they were, screaming when the game started, when the U2 music came on, the atmosphere in Vancouver was incredible. And, the Oilers stole that one in the third period. They took it right back. And, if you're a Vancouver fan, I bet you thought for the first 40 minutes, it's no different than how we all felt a couple of nights ago. If you're a Vancouver fan, in the first 40 minutes, you thought, we're going to escape this. 2-0 up after our first couple of games. And it's a game changer for the Oilers. Splitting 1-1 versus coming back home down 2-0 is so different. All you have to do now is win your 3 home games.
There you go. It's home ice advantage. Now it's on the Edmonton Oilers side. The line always not a series until you lose at home. I like this from Cap. We've converted him. Not going to lie, I find both of these guys attractive. Let's go, brother. River said you got some awesome takes as well. Well, let's get into the good here tonight. And the good, it's obvious with what we're going to go with. It's the OT winner. It's our boy, Evan Bouchard. It was clutch. It was everything you wanted. We mentioned, dude, I thought that game had the feeling of it was going to go into double overtime. It was the vibe of no one wanted to fuck up. No one wanted to be the one to make that mistake. Ian Cole, thank you very much for that and doing that. I'm not even going to totally shit on him. That's a tough play. That's a hockey play out there. But the tension in the building was palpable. Ice was tilted. They found a way to get it done. And I mentioned in the third period, the shots were 16-2, 15-2. They come out in OT, and as we mentioned, you just need to pepper Shelovs with shots. You throw one on net, it gets a touch, and boom, it's in the back of the net. Boys are on the plane. I hope they're coming to Greta right now. But OT winner, that was a beautiful way to end a beautiful night, dude.
It really was. We love an OT winner. It doesn't always happen. It doesn't happen every single series.
Should we Kevin Quinn say it right now?
Sure.
Overtime winner!
That was good.
That was good. Let's go.
I can't even hear myself because of the noise
so
here.
Loud.
So, if that was good, I'm not really sure. But we love to see an overtime winner in the playoffs. Like we talked about right off the hop, it's been since the first round of last season against LA, they had an overtime winner. And even in that series, LA had 2 of their own overtime winners. So the Oilers have been on the wrong side of overtime games a lot recently. And to get an overtime winner in a series against Vancouver, after you had that difficult game one, after you had that blown lead, to come back in another team's building where, again, like I said, after the first and after the second period, those intermissions, if you're Vancouver, you're going into your dressing room feeling like, we've got this thing. All we have to do is shut this down, and we're up 2-0. And you're the Oilers, you're chasing, you're behind, and to come back and tie that in the third period and then in the overtime early on, of course, you don't want it to stretch out. You don't want it to go too long. The last thing you want is for this to go to 2 OT where, something on net bounces off
a broken
the skate.
stick could be the reason why.
Everyone's slow. Everyone's tired. You don't want it to get there. You want to get it over with quickly. And Evan Bouchard, credit to him. This is what he always does. This is who he is. He gets pucks on net. Good shots on net. Good shots put in the right spots.
Good spots, low sometimes, hard as shit, sometimes off the back wall.
Balls, knuckleballs, sliders.
He bends the bullet as he shoots it out, and he does that.
Pucks. That's what he does.
He puts it up on there, and oh my God.
The center line puts the puck up, stops. It's time for my knuckle puck. Shoots it.
Okay, great. Now that's what I want. Now I'm disappointed by the overtime goal. I could have used that. I like this question here from J319. Do we keep the top line loaded? That's a tough question. Because I said, I believe the reason Leon was in that spot is because of the injury he's dealing with, and he can't be a play driver per se, as he had 4 points tonight. I understand that. But to run the middle of the ice, that's a lot of a responsibility. Nuge, he's a Swiss Army knife for a reason. He can play winger, he can play center, he can play power play, he can play penalty kill. He's a guy, and I thought he stepped his game up tonight. For me, it's tough. As we just mentioned, most of the points and the goals came from the top line. But I'm going to have a hard time changing it up after a game like that. I'm a guy that says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. What do you think about keeping the top line loaded?
I think it's difficult to come back after a win, especially an emotional win like this one, an overtime win where you're going to make changes. If Leon's injured, if he's got messed up ribs or whatever he's got going on, it's pretty hard to ask him to be the second line center, the guy who's going to be maybe going up against Elias Pettersson, Elias Lindholm, because it's usually JT Miller on Connor McDavid as the center. If you're going to ask him to be the 2C, that's a tough one. I think if he's injured and he's not at 100%, let him be the winger next to Connor McDavid. Let him shrink his game down and worry about the offensive zone. That's all good because you're a deep team. You have Ryan Nugent-Hopkins who can play 2C. You also went and acquired Adam Henrique at the trade deadline. He's basically a store brand version of Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
Nugent-Hopkins light.
Yeah, diet Nugent-Hopkins.
Yeah.
Nugent-Hopkins 0, whatever you want to call
Better
it.
beard, but diet.
He can play. He can play the second line 2C as well. So you have options down the middle. The Oilers have depth. If he's dealing with an injury and he's better off on the wing, then don't change if it's not broken.
Absolutely. And I see this one in here. We're looking for good. Like, there's lots, right? Leon could be the good. He might be the oily in just a minute. But one thing that QF Pro pointed out, your audio is impressive considering the club music in the back. That's a good there as well. Shout out to these headsets. Shout out to Patrick Puff producing behind the scenes. You should see him. He's got both of his ears on his thing right now, trying to keep it. Brett's playing security guard. So is Peyton. So is Waz. We literally have all three of them right here building a wall in front of us. Shout out to you, boys. I appreciate you a ton. Let's go to the bad now, and we touched on it there at the beginning. It's the Skinner third goal against from Nikita Zadorov. Absolute backbreaker. And the thing is, man, is you can, I get it. Hey, you don't completely close your post up. That's a good shot, whatever. But after the Garland goal from game one, he gets pushed all the way to the outside. Nurse on that, don't get me wrong. The bad could maybe also be some Nurse and CC in there as well. Thought maybe more CC tonight. Let me know what you thought of them as well right now in the chat. But Nurse in that one pushes Garland to the outside in game one, fakes the shot, Skinner gets beat so weak with a weak-ass shot from there. Felt like the same thing, just reverse side from Zadorov. I said I don't know if it did deflect off a stick, but once again, I don't care. I need that one to be stopped. I don't care if it was a knuckle puck. That can't go in from that angle. This was bad, and I'm not going to say Stu was bad tonight, but I'm not going to say he was great.
No, it's that middle ground. He wasn't good. He wasn't terrible. This was a terrible
goal. Adequate.
He was fine. It was good enough based on what the Oilers have as a team, based on what they have on the solid blue line, solid team defense, and what they have with their elite offense, their elite power play. Stuart Skinner was okay. But the Oilers, like I said earlier, if they're going to win the Stanley Cup, if they're going to beat a Colorado, or they're going to beat a Dallas, they're going to beat a team like Florida or the New York Rangers. Look at how Igor Shesterkin is playing for the New York Rangers right now. If you're going to go into a 7-game series against a team like that, you need to come up with huge saves. The Oilers, so far in this series, of course, you can't look at game 2 and be like, oh yeah, they won this game because of good goaltending. That wasn't the case. They won this game because of a clutch goal from Connor McDavid because they stayed with it.
They won this game because of Connor and Leon.
Yeah.
I'm gonna feel good about that.
The top players pulled them to this one, and what they're going to need at some point in this series is for Stuart Skinner to come through and have a huge game, make some huge saves. He doesn't have to be an elite goaltender every single game because the Oilers are a good deep team.
Three or less.
With high-end talent, but there's going to come times in this series, in this playoff run, where Stewart's going to have to steal them a game, and it hasn't happened yet, but it's going to have to come. And with this game, in this one, the goal that he allowed there, not ideal, but many times throughout the year, he's bounced back and been better after. So that's what we got to hope for.
I was called out earlier because I said he bounced back good after it, shut the door, and somebody said, quick to remind me, the Canucks had like 4 shots after that, but he still shut the door, damn it. He still did
4 shots, 4 saves.
Speaking of bad, that's 100, baby. Speaking of bad, Cap says thoughts on Corey Perry. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought tonight was maybe one of the more noticeable games I had seen from Corey Perry, but yet again, not good, dude. You mentioned there that you're going to need eventually your big dogs. We're big dogs. You're going to need Stuart Skinner to steal a game once like he did in LA. There's been a game where you're going to need Corey Perry, Ryan McLeod to do something offensively at this point. I'm not sitting here shitting on that line. McLeod has been a defensive stud on the penalty kill all over the place. He's playing a role that doesn't get a lot of reward with points and numbers. But at some point, I'm going to need Corey Perry or McLeod to do something offensively 5-on-5. What have you thought of Corey Perry?
Yeah, it'd be nice if one of these guys scores a depth goal.
Know that moment's coming, but it hasn't come yet.
Eventually, you're going to get it. Like in 2006, you got your Brad Winchester goal against the Detroit Red Wings. Like eventually, you're going to get a depth goal from somebody. But I guess if you want to look at it from a positive, Corey Perry's not scoring goals thus far in the playoffs. But think back to 5 years ago when the Oilers' bottom 6 was what it was, and you were just hoping, you were praying these guys could break even. And at the very least, even though right now they're not producing offense, you don't notice them in the defensive zone. You don't notice them messing up. It's not, oh yeah, the Oilers have their third line out there. They're going to get completely hemmed in. They're going to get completely outplayed. At the very least, they're coming through and they're breaking even with Vancouver's other lines so that Connor and Leon's line can do their thing. But we need. I'm
going to need one eventually. I'm going to need
16 wins. You have to get one. You're going to get weird goals from someone.
There's another thing here for the bad that a lot of people are popping out. Cody Ceci himself said Ceci and Nurse is the real bad. It's been a battle for these two, it feels like, over the last month or so. You knew at the deadline, Cody Ceci was not a guy you wanted to be in your top four at the deadline. The Oilers couldn't acquire Chris Tanev. You couldn't get your Joel Edmondsons. They end up acquiring Troy Stecher. Is he better than Cody Ceci? I don't know. It might be worth a shot at this point tonight. What have you thought of Cody Ceci's game lately and tonight? And let me ask, would you consider bringing in Troy Stecher for Ceci?
I don't know. I don't think I'm at that spot yet. Like the Nurse and Ceci pairing is a lightning rod for criticism. They're the line that they got a lot of defensive zone starts. A lot of times you see them in the defensive zone and your brain automatically thinks, oh, geez, there's Ceci and Nurse in the defensive zone again. They're getting hemmed in. Vancouver's getting chances. These guys are on the ice, but I think a lot of it is the context thrown into by the coaching staff. And I mean, they're not the best pairing, especially when it comes to puck movement. Like, this isn't the pairing where you love watching them break the puck out of their own zone. I think that's why it pisses people off to watch them. But I don't know. So far, they've been fine. They've gotten the job done. And after an overtime win, I don't really want to change the lineup, but you never know. I mean, Troy Stetcher's I don't think you sucked, Cody. I think you were just fine. I think you got the job done. That's a bit harsh, but yeah, I don't know. Coming in with Troy Stecher, he had a great playoffs with Vancouver a few years ago, but to come and make a switch after an overtime win, I'm not sure I'd go and do that.
Yeah, once again, I don't know if sometimes the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. But at the same time, there might come a point here in these playoffs where you have to get sat down for one moment. We move to the Oilie now. And the Oilie, it's our boy, Big 29. It's Leon Draisaitl playing injured, as I just mentioned. Does he play better when he plays injured? Only he could score that goal in the first period with potentially broken ribs. He's a gamer. And tonight, I want to say I'm shocked that he had a 4-point night with possibly broken ribs, which I am, but I'm not because of what we saw with his high ankle sprain in 2022 against the Calgary Flames. He didn't look like he was incredibly mobile. Nice, the girls behind me are there. They want to get it going. See you on the dance floor later. But his hockey IQ, I did mention, Pat really liked that one. His hockey IQ, on that first goal, he doesn't have the speed. He doesn't have the move the body around there, but he finds that soft spot in the defense. He's playing with 97. He's going to feed him the puck. Bing, bang, boom. Back of the net. Leon Draisaitl. You give this man a blank check when his contract runs out because you can't put it into any number that the fact that him and 97 both elevate their play when it comes to the NHL playoffs. And their play in the regular season is already right here. Somehow they find a way to excel, exceed those expectations. Leon was incredible tonight.
It's hard to imagine Connor McDavid having better chemistry with a player in his career at any point. At any point through what his NHL career will be, he will never have a better line mate or teammate than what Leon Draisaitl is. The two of them know each other so well, and we brought this up on a few different points. You know, you can have Leon be his second line.
Pull that
center.
back up, Pat. Pull that back up. Call an ambulance. But not for me.
I mean, yeah, it was only 4 or 5 hours ago that Leon Draisaitl was a game time decision. Do we have any idea if he's going to come in? Yeah, he can't be the 2C in this game. He can't drive his own line, but you can staple him right next to Connor McDavid and form, the best 1-2 duo in the NHL. These guys just always know where each other are on the ice. They know what kind of plays to make, and that's such an important intangible for the Oilers. Just you have Connor McDavid, who's so good, and then you have this other forward who makes him better, which, I mean, if you don't have Leon, then he's never going to have a teammate who's that's that perfect for him.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So that'll do it for the good, bad, and the Oilie. Brought to you by our friends at Alberta Blue Cross. If you're going on a trip, you're going to travel, go pick some travel insurance because, as I always say, no one plans ever on getting injured. Let's move now into our hot and cold performers, brought to you by nobody. And this one, we just get the spitball without an ad read. So tonight, for me, throw them in the chat, everybody. I want to know who you thought was hot, who you thought was cold. Cap has clearly said that we're hot.
We're hot.
So we're going to roll with that. We're going to let that one go tonight. For me, dude, I've gotten 18 phone calls right now sitting here, people trying to get in. You'd think you'd know I do a post-game show by now if you're my friend.
You do a post-game show?
I've only done
That's
it for
sick.
fucking...
I could watch it.
These people, man, my buddies are so stupid. But my hot performer tonight, I think I'm going to go with, obviously, your Leons, your Connors. I'm going to go away from that. I'm going to go Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I thought he had a great game tonight besides those 2 penalties. So that's a big asterisk there as well. I did kind of think those were weak. I don't want to sit here and bitch about referee calls. He had 3 shots, over 20 minutes of ice time, and I thought he was a play driver on that second line. You needed him to step up, as you just mentioned. Dry couldn't be that 2C. He didn't have the ability to do it. Nuge is just like, he's such a treat to pull out of the box and be like, oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, I have that perfectly fine former first overall draft pick. I can put all over my lineup. I thought he was good tonight. Oh, nice. Cap says, I actually like this live. Let's go. We've totally converted him. Who do you like for a hot performer tonight?
Oh, there's a few ones. I mean, there's so many guys we talked about. Leon, of course, you've given a ton of praise to. Connor with that key goal. Evan Bouchard in overtime. Matthias Ekholm had a great game. I always like Matthias Janmark game in the playoffs. I mean, this was the guy who at their last practice, when there was the thought, hey, maybe Leon's not going to play, Adam Henrique, Evander Kane dealing with injuries. Matthias Janmark lines up on the top line next to Connor McDavid, and people are thinking, what's this guy doing on the top line? And I mean, Matthias Janmark's a gamer. He's a guy who plays very responsibly defensively. If Connor McDavid and Zach Hyman are deep in the offensive zone and the puck gets turned over and the Canucks come up ice, Matthias Janmark's going to be back there. He's good on the forecheck. And you love seeing a guy who might only play 8 to 10 minutes every time he gets on the ice, whether it's in the offensive or defensive zone. He seems to be trying to make an impact. And I'd also want to point out Vinny Desharnais as well on the third pairing. He looks like such a better D-man in this playoffs than he did last year. Last year, he looked slow and he got beaten wide. This year, his mobility laterally is so much better. Guys can't just beat him wide. Vinny Desharnais looks like a completely different D-man this season.
I'm curious what he's going to get for an extension when it comes time, because I want to lock this guy up.
Yeah.
Speaking of hot performers, Pat, pull it up on the screen, because shout out to whoever did this already. It's Ian Cole on Evan Bouchard's head. I don't know who did that. Please let me know in the chat. I'm going to send you a pregame with Bordsy t-shirt. Let me know, Pat, if we can find that out. You're the real MVP. Oh, it's Joey H. Oh, his name's literally right there on the screen. Bordsy, learn how to read. Joey H. Email me at aaron@thenationnetwork.com. I'm giving you a free t-shirt for that bad boy, because that is, look at that toothless grin right there. Old man, that does kind of look like Old Man Bouch. That looks like a version of Old Man Bouch. I'm going to move now to my cold performer. I'm not going to pick anybody from the Oilers, and the guy I'm going to pick tonight, did he get a point? He got 1 assist, but maybe not even cold performer. Quinn Hughes had he got the shit kicked out of him tonight. It felt like every time he went back to the boards, he was getting drilled. There was a moment where Evander Kane drilled him in the boards behind the net, and he did that thing he did to Drew Doughty, where he kind of pins his leg against the end boards, and there was a viral mic'd up moment of Evander Kane talking to the refs saying, I'm getting slew-footed. And Doughty came up and he went, Kaner, you do that all the time. And he kind of did exactly that to Quinn Hughes. Connor McDavid sticks him right in the face. He's bleeding from his cheek. I always say, Quinn Hughes just has the saddest eyes. Yeah. He just always looks tired. He continues to keep calling me. You'd think you'd know that I'm not doing this. But he has the saddest eyes, and he just looked like tonight he was a guy that clearly is not at 100%. And the more this series goes along, the more Evander Kane's going to crash bodies and go down low. I'm curious to see how Quinn Hughes stands up. What do you think about him for a cold performer, or do you have one?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll echo this whole thing and talk about how good the Oilers have been on the forecheck. Like, we just got finished talking about Corey Perry. He hasn't scored a goal. But, I mean, this is the guy who forechecks. Warren Fogle, forechecks, throws the body. Evander Kane, he's been all over Vancouver's defensemen. The hits that he's throwing, like, if you're a Vancouver defenseman and you're going in to go, Edmonton dumps the puck in and you're going skating back, and you just hear those footsteps banging behind you, it's going to be Evander Kane or Corey Perry or Warren Fogle, and someone's going to cross-check you. Someone's going to put their knee into the back of your knee, and this is the difference between the Oilers of this playoffs and previous ones. The depth is so much better, and they can just, over time, wear down another team. And Quinn Hughes, probably the Norris Trophy, maybe the Norris Trophy winner this year. It might be probably the Norris Trophy given Vancouver's season. I mean, Edmonton and their forecheck turned him into almost a non-factor in this game.
Yeah, I can agree with that as well. And I want to give a hot performer to Waz because he just bodied two guys from trying to get in. They got nice waves there. That guy tried to get his way past Waz, and Waz was having none of that. He went to Kembe Mutombo. No. Waz, you're a beauty. I'm buying you a beer in just a bit. Man. So that'll do it for my hot and cold performers this evening. Forgot to check up in the chat here. What do we got? Rick Talkett is my cold performer. Gavin, or somebody else here, said our guest that came in is the hot performer. Wonder why he said that. Cap now says that he's attracted to me. So look at that. We've completely turned this around. Everybody's family here. Everybody love everybody. Canucks fans, I used to produce a Canucks show for over a year and a half. So I've been with you through your dark times. Russ Offerson, stick taps for Waz. I completely agree. Let's now move to our Around the NHL segment, brought to you by Boston Pizza. Here's our playoff coverage. It's brought to you by our friends at BP's. It's been 30 years since a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup. What would it take for Canadian hockey fans to set aside their differences and work together to end this drought? Is it their team or nothing? Or could they get behind a rival under the right circumstances? BP's wants you to team up for the win. Pat, come back to me right now, because I could fist bump out of my chair right now. It is going so hard in here. Love after midnight.
I'm not always a sitting still kind of guy, and I don't feel like I should be sitting still right now.
Dude, I want to get going, but around the NHL playoff coverage brought to you by Peas. Obviously, the Oilers even up their series 1-1, and then earlier tonight we saw the game here. Boston, Florida. They dummy him. 6-2. Bruins won the first game, which you might think. They played Game 7 on Saturday. They played Game 1 on Monday. Florida had to sit. That might have been a factor into that game. I think Florida's a wagon. They're my pick to come out of the Eastern Conference. Updated, I did have the Rangers, but I think I'm going with the Panthers. Do you think the Bruins can make that a series?
No, I don't think they can. I think them coming
out.
Either. It's
Marchand got hurt tonight too.
Yeah, and I mean, think back to their playoff series last year. Boston had a chance to win this thing in the 5th game. They were up 3-1 in that series, and they couldn't get the job done. Florida comes back with an overtime game. They win that thing in Game 7. Shocking playoff series win. And ever since then, it seems like they've been the team. Like, they had the great regular season this year. They're coming into this year's playoffs. I think Florida's going to lock this thing up in like 6 games, 5 or 6. I think it'll be Florida and the New York Rangers in the Eastern Conference Final. And that's a hard one to pick because, man, Igor Shesterkin, I mentioned him earlier, but he has been good. Damn, he's been good.
Igor, they've been chanting his name. He's been fantastic. I like this from, Putter? He said Cap is bipolar. Can't tell if they're an Oilers fan or really sad Van lost. They're part of the fam now. They're in this chat. Tomorrow, we're going to get Rangers, Hurricanes, Stars, Avalanche. Nice 5 p.m., 8 p.m. staggered start. You got to like that. So you think the Rangers win that series, obviously. Yeah. Who wins Stars, Avalanche?
That's a tough one. I don't know. That's a weird one, but I think it's going to be Colorado, and that's a little bit worrying. I don't love the matchup against Colorado in the Western Conference Final. That's a team with playoff experience and pedigree. That's a team that knows how to win. That's a team with a man possessed in Nathan McKinnon. This year was his year. He was like, I'm going to win the Hart Trophy this year. It's going to be my year, and it feels like you go against that team in the Western Conference Finals. That's going to be a tough out. So I hope Dallas wins this one. I mean, neither of them are going to be easy to beat. The Western Conference Finals, whether it's
that guy's wearing a Panthers jersey right now.
Is it a Yarmir? It's a Barkov. I saw a guy when I was up for a walk today wearing a Yarmir Jagr Panthers jersey, and I thought, wow, that's absolutely right. You're in Edmonton, Alberta, wearing a Yarmir Jagr Florida Panthers jersey. That's what you love to see. There's a lot of interesting teams out in the playoffs. If you're Edmonton, neither of those teams in the Central are going to be easy. Dallas and Colorado are both good. They're both really good, and you just hope
they beat the shit out of each other for 7 games.
Just beat the wheels out of each other. Play 7 games, make it fucked up, make it last as long as you can. Just make it difficult.
Hack, slash, do everything, dirty hits. I want whoever we play to. Well, if we were, let me get there. We're getting ahead of ourselves here. It is only 1-1, but we feel alive again now, people. So that'll do it for the Around the NHL Playoff Report, brought to you by Boston Pizza. Finally, let's get into our Betway look ahead this evening. It's brought to you by Betway. 19 plus, please play responsibly, because with Betway, you can get a free bet up to $200 if your first bet loses. All you got to do, create a new account, redeem your bonus, place a bet, scan that QR code first, of course, and if your bet loses, you want to join that action, you'll get a refund up to $200. You can then use that money to bet on your favorite sports afterwards. And this offer, it's only available outside of Ontario, so if you're a Matthews fan, sorry, buddy, I don't know what to tell you. You can't get on Betway. We rock with Betway tonight. Bordsy's bankroll was Oilers money line and Connor McDavid 2+ points. A check, baby. We can go with that. The second option was a Nuge power play points, which I don't think that one went through. No. Oh, it did. Oh, my God. I'm so good.
Process.
Let's
Never
go.
in doubt.
My third was the Warren Fogle anytime goal. To be fair, I set that one before I knew he was going to be on the second line. Thought it was be on the first. You make any bets this evening?
I did not. I really bet the Oilers are going to win this one, and I bet that they are going to win this series in either 5 or 6 games. I didn't put any money on it, but that's my expectation.
Buddy, and I've said it before, sometimes when you're so emotionally invested into this stuff, you don't really need to put money on it. I obviously responsibly, and 19 plus did do it, as I always say, only bet what you're willing to lose, people. It's all in good fun. Keep it in good fun. Betway, they got some great offers and some great things on their site for the look ahead. Game 3, Sunday night. I get to do it from the comfort of my own couch. Oh my God, you should give me that. You should give me that.
So good.
You should give me that right now. Yeah, can you see it? Can you see it in the thing? Yay! Ladies and gentlemen, if you've never been to a Greta watch party before, this is what you're going to get. We party at Greta, we pregame at Greta, we postgame at Greta. It's the best spot you could find in the city to get this stuff done. They're offering free prepaid shots when the Oilers score first. The best vibe in the city. I was throwing T-shirts left, right, and center. T-shirt toss. I love this. This is my Stanley Cup. Mwah! That's a thing of beauty right there, baby. You take that. That's an awesome cameo for Greta. Clip that one. We're going with that. For the look ahead, Sunday night, the Oilers back home at Rogers Place. Score prediction? Anytime goal scorer.
I'm thinking a 3-1 win for the Oilers, and I think that depth goal is going to come. I think Corey Perry is going to score the opening goal in that game. It's going to be a first-period goal, and the fans in Edmonton are going to go bananas. That's going to be a wild crowd. Vancouver had a great crowd in great Game 1 and Game 2. They had a great crowd, but the Oilers fans are going to come out, and they're going to show. This building gets real loud. This gets real exciting.
Dude, if it's anything like what I'm looking at right now on the dance floor, this shit is insane right now. This city brings the energy. I like this from River. Playoff game in Edmonton is on my bucket list. Yes, it should be. You let me know if you ever want to come down to Edmonton. I like Ryan Guy. Everybody who shows up gets you get a sign, you get a sign, you get a sign, because we party at Greta. How much for the sign, says Ryan Smith knows. We'll see. Well, maybe I can try and sneak that under my shirt after tonight. I'm sure I can get away with that one just fine. But people, it's getting crazy over here. There's bubbles going now. There's bubbles.
There's a lot going on here.
This is insane. I love all of you. Please throw down your courtesy like in the chat. If you're a Canucks fan or if you're an Oilers fan, get in there. We'll be live once again for a little pregame with Bordsy. Sunday, is that game at 8? I just assume it is 1 hour before puck drop. Should have Tyler back in the co-host seat riding shotgun with me. I'm sure they're just getting in one right now in Vancouver, giving it back to the fans. Hopefully safe. Hopefully they do that safe. But it's been a great night tonight. Every one of you showed up in Greta. It was awesome. I signed like 10 T-shirts tonight. I'm getting good at it. It's hard to do on a T-shirt. You have to pull it. You have to like really pull it
get nice and flat
to get going. Yeah, so it was a good night. I love all of you in the chat. Coombsy, I love you. Peyton playing bodyguard, Brett playing bodyguard, Pat producing, Waz bodyguard, Kennedy, Gina. We do some awesome events here at Greta, and I got to give the props to the team. Spencer with sales, marketing, Maddie. We sent half the crew out to Vancouver, and the B team has to take care of these events, and it's turning into the A team because I think we're doing a pretty damn good job here. Once again, we'll be here every road game throughout the playoffs. I guarantee I'll be in this chair for everyone this season or this playoffs. Final shout out to Greta for the scoring summary, Alberta Blue Cross for the good, bad, and oily, no one for the hot and cold performers, Betway for your look ahead, and of course, Boston Pizza to team up for the win. Not going to lie to you, I'm going to go crush a bunch of beers, and I'm going to go enjoy this victory. Kumse, hope you do as well. I hope everyone at home is enjoying a little victory night. And hey, if you feel bad tomorrow, you're not going to feel that bad. Hey, everything goes down smooth with the win. Kumse, any final words?
No, it's the freaking weekend. It's a Friday night, and the Oilers win a playoff overtime game. So go and live your life.
Play
Enjoy.
La Bamba, baby. I'll see you on Sunday.